All right, welcome back everyone to another session with LWM. Today we are going to be making a Chase the Mouse game. So as you can observe this little gify thing, you can see that when the person clicks the green flag, we have this mouse running around, which is following the mouse pointer. And then you have a cat following the mouse everywhere until it eats it or touches it. And we also have some lives and a timer keeping track of our stats and things related to the game. So that's the general gist of the game. We'll get into our coding class for today. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, just make sure you're being very appropriate and patient in the chat. And if your internet disconnects, please join as soon as you can so that we can pick you up where you left off, right? All right, so last week we talked a little bit about this. We'll just go over it quickly again because it helps to refresh what you're coding and what it is that coding is. And that needs to be refreshed with what is a computer. So a computer is an electrical device and it stores and processes data. Data could be your pictures, it could be whatever you typed, data could be what you clicked on, right? All that information is data. And then the computer is we're not AI yet, we're not at artificial intelligence yet, so it actually needs instructions to follow. Just like how you use a recipe to follow, something you want to bake. Similarly, you need to follow instructions, or the computer needs to follow the instructions, which is coding. So you write the recipe, you write the code, computer follows the code. And then some parts of the computer that are, get to know if you're going to learn computing and coding is the CPU and the RAMs. The CPU is like the brain of the computer, just like how we have a brain of a human being. It deals with what needs to be clicked now, prioritizes what needs to be done, and makes sure every other process is working fine. And obviously, you can't have a brain without having a memory. So RAM stands for Random Access Memory. By the way, CPU stands for, what does it stand for? I forgot. Anyhow, RAM stands for Random Access Memory, which is for quick memory storage. Oh, Central Processing Unit. That's what it stands for. I forgot. Anyhow, last week we also, I asked you like a kind of a trick question to see if you were getting it. If a calculator and your smartphone are computers, and that is true. They are both computers. Some coding languages that we went over last week: Python, Java, HTML, and Scratch, which is the one that we are doing. Scratch is a block-based coding language that will help you understand the logic of coding. So when you go to Python and HTML and Java and JavaScript, you'll have like a really good understanding of how coding works. So you'll just have to learn the syntax and you'll be good to go. Today's new concept is variables. And the thing is that variables are used all across the coding languages, right? They're in Python, they're in Java, they're in Scratch. So here's the thing. What is a variable? Essentially, a variable holds information. Period. That information can change though. So when we were talking about counters or lives, it's obviously going to store what lives or how many points we're at, but it's going to change that. So in Scratch, you're going to have to initialize your variable, which is this button, set blank to 0. And blank meaning you can call your variable whatever you want. And then because it's going to change the information, we have to get the change blank by 1, which is going to increment or change somehow whatever our variable value is, whatever the information is. It's like a bin that you can open, put information in it, and then close it. And then take it to your new house if you're moving, open it again, take it out, change it to something else, leave it empty, whatever you want, right? So variables are very helpful because you use them for score, timer, points, speed, person's name, username, things like that. All right, now let's move on to the coding part. So this is what we need to create today. And if you're watching, I encourage you to grab a pen and pencil and paper and kind of sketch out what we're doing because that helps to visualize what our project is. So we need a background. My background is a green field. Your background could be like rocks, it could be a beach, it could be a rug, it could be anything that you want it to be. It could be the ocean. What sprites do we need, people? So as you can see, there are 2 main sprites on this game. There is the cat, and then there is the mouse. And those 2 are the main sprites. One of them I control, one of them the user controls, which is the mouse, and the cat just seems to follow it. I hope you noticed that, right? What variables do we need? Again, the variables are orange colored in Scratch. So ding, ding, ding. Lives and timer are what we need. And then how does the mouse move? How do you guys think the mouse is moving? Because it doesn't look like it's moving with arrow keys. It's too fluid for that. So it's actually using the mouse pointer. What I'm talking about is the cursor. So when you and your cursor move it down, it goes down. If you move it right, the mouse goes right. The cat is just following the mouse, right? So those are how mouse and cat are moving across the screen, and it's important to know that so we can build it. So let's start coding, people. Hopefully you have the link ready for yourself. If you haven't made an account yet, click Join Scratch. If you have, sign into your account. And if you really can't figure out the password, it's okay. Just click Create. You'll be able to make the same project, but you might not be able to save it, right? Before we get into that, just a quick reminder that all our commands are stored on this console that has our motion, our looks, our sound, sensing, operator variables down here, which is super duper important. We pick these blocks up, we put them in this command area, which is where the process happens, and we output it on the screen here. So maybe the cat will move a couple blocks. Maybe it's going to sing la la la. Or maybe we don't need a cat at all. So we'll just get rid of it, and whatever we want will do its thing. Right? So let's go to Scratch. Give me 1 minute to share my screen for that. All right, so hopefully you guys can see my screen. Here is what we're doing today. So if you see this block, first things first, get rid of it. It's not important for what we're doing. Just click the close tab. All done. And this looks exactly like the picture I showed you in our Google slide. We have our blocks here. We have costumes. We have sound. We have our motion blocks, our looks blocks, our events block, which are super duper important. A processing area. Then we have an output area. So we talked number one about background. So let's deal with that first. So when you click on stage, stage deals with all your backgrounds, right? So if you click on this button, it says choose a background. If you want to, you can choose one. If you have like a picture you've already made, you can upload it. If you want to make your own background, if you make a roller coaster or a theme park or whatever, go for it. But just for the sake of time, I'm going to pick something that's already here. And let's see which one. A garden rock is a pretty good one. A forest would be pretty cool. Hayfield. I'm going to do a hayfield today. There's a mouse and a cat at a farm in the hayfield. But I don't want this cat. Like, I'm sorry, I like you, but, like, no, that's not the cat I had in mind. So if I scroll down a little, so you can go up, down, click on the cat, you're able to remove the cat by clicking this trash can. Boom, cat's gone. Perfect. So now we talked about the background, so let's talk about the two most important sprites. It was a cat and a mouse. So if you click this circle here beside the stage circle, it looks like a little cat. It says choose a sprite. The magnifying glass will let you choose one. The paintbrush will let you create one. This one will give you a random one. And this is going to upload a sprite if you've already created. So lots of people will animate their own, they'll make their own animations, and they'll have their own characters that they can upload. That's pretty cool. You guys can try that. So let's find a cat and a mouse. Again, this is a chasing game. So if you want it to be a bear and a human, go for it. If you want it to be one butterfly versus the other one, go for it. Right? If you want it to be a crab and a dinosaur, do that. So because I'm doing a mouse and a cat and I want to make it simple for people to follow along, that is what I'm going to do. Oh, there's our mouse. I'm going to click on the mouse, and the mouse is called Mouse 1, and I like that name, so I'm going to keep it. I'm going to click on costumes because I've already have a game with this kind of colored mouse. So we're going to switch that around a little bit and get you guys involved in customizing your own sprites. So you click on this and then you extend out and select all the parts of this mouse. Maybe you want your mouse color to be more on the, is it like a brown? Oh, never mind. Dark yellow, green. I'm gonna say that. Yeah, I know, it's not the most conventional mouse. Then you can make it outline different colors. You can make it whatever you want, people. Look at that cat. It looks like a neon cat, like it's lit up or something. Anyhow, that's our cat. This is the other what's it called, costume. So this is mouse 1A, this is mouse 1B. Mouse 1B's main difference was that its arms were back and its tail was straighter, so you can show how it's like moving. But we don't need it, so we can get rid of it. Actually, do I want it? No. Let's say you do want it. If you can click on edit, you can restore the costume and you have it. Just gonna make sure the colors are the same. So I'm gonna click on my select. I'm going to select the whole cat. I'm gonna make it that pink color again. If I can find it, and make the outline green again. There you have it. Looks kind of the same, except I got the wrong shade of pink. Oops. Okay. It doesn't really matter. So this is our cat. Mouse. This is our mouse. Mouse 1. Now we have to get our cat. So let's go back to choose a sprite and find a good cat. You can have Scratch the cat. You can have the cat flying. You can have a chick if you wanted. We're gonna go with cat number 2, cat 2 here. And if you like the color that it's at, that's totally cool. If you want to change it, you can do that as well in costumes. But here's the thing. On my screen, this mouse and cat, they're almost the same size. So I'm not going to have a lot of space to play. As you can tell, this output area is a little bit small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make both of my sprites smaller. So there's this panel here that includes the sprite's name, its location based on the X and Y coordinates, the size and direction. So I'm going to change the size to maybe a 90 or an 80. Click on the cat and change the size to a 90 or an 80. Make the mouse a little bit more smaller than the cat. So my mouse is at an 80, my cat's at a 90. Again, it's whatever you would like. Let's see. So now that we've had our background and our sprites, it's kind of time to code, which is pretty fun. So we're going to start with our mouse's code because the mouse's code is a little bit more simpler. Whenever you have to start a game, you have to click on when green flag clicked. Because that starts it off. It sends the trigger, it sends the declenching of the game. So when green flag is clicked, now we can tell it a bunch of sequences and loops or what needs to happen. Mainly what I want is that I want my mouse to follow me around everywhere, right? When I mean follow me, I mean follow my cursor. So I'm going to go to motion and I'm going to grab point towards mouse pointers. That's already good. So if I click this, it's going to face the green flag because that's where it was, right? And then I want it to actually not only just point at it, I want it to go there as well. I want it to follow it. So I'm going to go to random position, grab this block, but don't go to random position. Obviously, point to the mouse pointer and go to the mouse pointer. So now it's walked up all the way there. But it won't follow me when I'm down here. It's just stuck there. It did that command once, and now it's done. So we're going to go to control, and we're going to find a loop that helps us figure out how we can make the mouse follow us continually without stopping. We already have our if loop, so that's not going to help because we need a condition for that. We have a repeat 10 times loop. We have a forever loop. Repeat 10 times. What if I'm not done my game by the time it repeats 10 times? So forever loop is the most appropriate option. So we're going to grab it and we're going to put it around. And now let's see. Oh, look. Okay, so this is like really following my cursor right on the dot. You want to put a delay if you want to make it like not as connected to the cursor. You can put a wait command. You can put a wait like 0.5 seconds or a whole second, whatever you feel comfortable with. For now, I feel like it's very blocky. Make it 0.1 seconds. A little bit better, but it kind of feels like there's like freezing going on, like the computer is freezing or something. We'll try 0.001 seconds. Yeah, it's very fluid, but we might as well remove the wait command. So I am going to remove it, but if you want to keep the delay, go for it. You can work with it and make it more customized and find the perfect seconds to wait for. But essentially, our mouse is done. The only thing we can add for now, if you want to make it more realistic, is that we can tell it to switch costumes every now and then. Oh, you'll notice like it slightly becomes a different shade of red and pink every now and then. So that's something we can add. With the looks, which is in the second tab, and scrolling down to next costume, which is the, I believe, the 6th command. So now let's focus on the cat. Our cat here is called cat2 and it has no code, nothing. But as we know, we always start the code with when green flag clicked. So we're going to go to events, which is the 4th circle, and grab the first block when green flag clicked. So since we've already learned from the mouse that this forever loop keeps things happening forever, we're going to go to cat, and we're going to find the forever loop in control. It's the 3rd one. We're going to click on it, and we're going to drag it over here. And green flag clicked, forever do something. Now, what is that something? You'll notice there's an arrow here. It's showing you that it's going to go back to the top and do that something. So, in our game, the cat seems to follow the mouse. So, we're going to make it point towards the mouse, not the mouse pointer. This is mouse pointer. We're going to point towards mouse 1. And we're going to go. We're going to. What should we go to or should we glide? Let's try glide this time. Let's say I want you to glide, not to a random position, but to the mouse pointer that you are looking at. But here's the thing. If I say glide 1 second to mouse 1, I'm already going to have a really predictable game. I already know how long it takes. I can win this game no problem, which is not really fun. If you want to make a game that people will like, you have to make it challenging. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of randomness to it. We're going to go all the way down to operators, which is the 3rd last circle, and we're going to find pick random 1 to 10. Now, when it comes to seconds, saying that something takes 10 seconds means that it's very slow. Which is why our cat has not moved yet, because it's probably waiting for like 5 seconds. And it's figuring out a slow way towards my mouse. And my mouse keeps moving really fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, pick between 0.1 and 1. And let's see if that's a little bit better. Maybe it's too fast. Again, it depends who you're making this game for. If you're making it for little kids, you can make it slower. If you want to challenge your family members, you can make it faster. You can make it 1.5. So this pick random command is going to pick a random number between 0.1 and 1.5. As you can see, it'll like randomly become super fast, but you won't know when. And I think that makes the game so much more fun and interesting and adds flair. So you're probably thinking at this point, oh, so the game's over. But not yet. We still have to add our points and variables. We still have to add a little bit more features to the game that make it gamer friendly. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to figure out, well, how does the game end? The mouse has to be eaten by the cat. So let's go to the cat. We're already in the cat. And we're going to go to control. And we're going to scroll to the 5th one. that says if. So this if loop, we're going to grab it and we're going to put it here. And now we're going to go to sensing. So sensing is the fourth from the bottom. It's a light blue. And it's going to say things like touching mouse pointer, touching color, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to grab the very first one. It's kind of like a hexagon shape, except it's not equal sides. And we're going to say if touching mouse 1, then do something. Well, then I wanted to tell them that, oh, well, I win. So we'll go to looks, and we're going to grab the first command that says say hello for 2 seconds, and we're going to say, you can say whatever you want. You can say I win, you could say I eat you could say, muchas gracias. Like, you could say whatever you want to just kind of signify that you have won the game. So we're going to let the cat eat us. It's going to say I eat you, but the game didn't stop, right? So we'll let it keep playing, and we'll put a variable later on so that when the cat gets eaten 3 times, then it's like done and dead, right? So we're not going to change anything yet. We're going to add more to the basic structure of our code. Let's go back to control. Let's say, what else can we add? We can add some sounds into this because the more the game becomes immersive, the more the user likes the game. So we have the sound meow too. You may or may not be able to hear it on my end, but if you click yours, you'll be able to hear it. So start sound meow. Alright, so we'll just take that. Start sound meow too. And maybe even finish with another meow. Yeah, I can hear 2. I only want to hear 1. Okay, perfect. At this point, we're going to start making variables because that is what's going to make our game have levels in it, okay? So we're going to go to the second last circle called variable. It's an orange circle. And we're going to the first square here that says make a variable. And we're going to call it lives. And as you can guess, it's going to count the lives of the mouse. Obviously, because the mouse is the one that's susceptible and at risk, it's not the cat. So as I mentioned, we need to initialize this variable. So what command here can help us do that? Set lives to. So we're going to get set lives to. We're going to put at the very beginning of the code. We're going to put it above the forever loop so that our lives doesn't stay 0 for the rest of the game. And you're going to pick a number to be the number of default lives. So most games will have 3, they can have 5. You can make it whatever you want. It's your game, up to you. Set lives to 3. And if I touch the mouse, if the cat touches the mouse, then obviously we want to change the lives so that we decrease them. So we're going to change the lives by not 1, but -1. Let's test it. All right, lives is 2. So that's the thing. It said meow. Change it to 1. Change it to 0. The game should end now because I'm non-existent. But we just went to -1. So we need to figure out a way to stop the game when lives is equal to 0. So I said when, but obviously Scratch doesn't have like a when statement. It has a bunch of if statements. So let's grab another if statement. So we're going to grab this block of if, and we're going to put it underneath the last one, but above the forever loop. Right? So this is the if, the first one, and it ends here. You're going to start a new if under that if, but inside the forever loop, okay? Be careful with that. Get a little bit tangly. So we're going to go to operators because at this point we want to compare the lives to the number 0. So we're going to grab the equal sign. This is like the 7th code, and we're going to put it in here. And we're going to say something equals 0. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the lives. If the lives equals 0, then we need to stop the game. So we'll go to variables, and we have this nice elliptical that's called lives. We're going to grab that. We're going to put it here. If lives equal to 0, then do something. What do we want it to do? Stop the game. So we'll just say, well, maybe we'll say I'll make the cat say the sentence, I win, or yummy, or whatever you want. So, and we need to go to events. This is a new block. Scroll down into control. So go to control, and you'll find the fourth last block to be stop all. So we're going to grab stop all. We're going to put it under the say command, and it's going to stop the game once lives is equal to 0. So, got eaten again. Gosh, got eaten again. Lives equal to 0, and the game should stop. It stopped by itself. Perfect. If you want us to stop earlier than that, you can change your for part. So you can say I eat you for 1 second. Say I win for 1 second, and it can make your game a little bit faster. All right, but if you're going to make a game that's user-friendly, you probably want to make it so that they can win too. Otherwise, no one wants to play a game that's unbeatable. Ruins the point of games. So, we need to now progress towards a rule that will allow the mouse to win. So just like how we had a lives variable, we should probably put another boundary so that the game doesn't continue forever and that the person who is playing as the mouse can also win. And this is going to be a timer variable. So let's go to variables, and we're going to click make a variable, and we're going to call it timer. We're going to have the check mark for all sprites. So for both our variables, we had for all sprites. Okay. Again, we have to initialize our variable like the last one. So we're going to click set lives to. We're going to put it here. But you're like, we already have a set lives to command. So we're going to change that, obviously, by clicking on it and then selecting timer. You're going to see my variable, rename variable, delete the lives variable. Do not click any of those. My variable is like a default variable they just made for you to edit the name of or just use it as is if you've never made a variable before. And then you can rename variable, which is lives right now. We don't want to do that. We want to make it timer. We've already created a timer. We're going to just click on the arrow and grab a timer variable. So you can decide how long you want your game to be. Is it going to be 30 seconds long? Is it going to be a minute long? Is it going to be 15 seconds long? Everything is up to you. All right, so we have our timer set and we have our variable lives set. And now we're going to figure out a way to make the mouse one. So we're going to scroll down, go to controls, and grab this if loop and bring it inside. And we're going to go to operators. Operators is the two circles down. And we are going to get the equal sign again. Change 50 to 0. And this time inside the circle, we're not going to compare lives. We're going to compare the timer. So go down to timer and grab the timer block. So if the timer equals 0, something should happen. Obviously, if a timer is equal to 0, that means that the person, the mouse, has survived the game at this point. Obviously, if they didn't, that would mean their lives is equal to 0 and the game has already ended. So it's safe to say that the timer is going to be equal to 0 and the person is going to have at least 1 life, right? So if the timer is equal to 0, then do something. What do we want it to do? We're going to say maybe a message like, darn it, I'm tired. Or you can say like, meow, I'm done for today. Or you're not worth more effort. Or whatever you want the cat to say to the mouse. You can say that. And because the timer has reached 0, we can end the game. We're going to go to control, we're going to scroll down, and we're going to grab stop. This is the basic construct of our game. So let's test it out because testing and debugging is a super duper important skill in programming. And we'll see what we can do. Okay, that was one life gone too quickly. Oh, do you guys know something? The timer is not even changing. It's staying at 30. We forgot that we need to change the variable information. So now that, it's never going to reach 0, that means that this game is not going to end and I'm going to have to lose. Let's make a change. We need to increment the timer. So as we've incremented the lives, we've changed it to -1 when it gets touched by the mouse. We need to change the timer so that it changes by 1 every second or so. If we add a wait 1 second command into this code, it's going to make all of this whole process, the sequence, the loops, and the if, wait a whole second. So everything's going to be slow. The way it moves is going to be 1 second plus this thing. So we can't add a wait 1 second command. We can just change the timer by -1 at the very, very top. Change timer by -1. All right, so now it's moving, and it's at a pretty comfortable with the speed of my timer. It's moving pretty quickly. I will say that the cat moves really fast. It's kind of scary, and I didn't reach the end because I suck at my own games. That's okay. So we're going to let that be, and we are going to call this the end of our program. So we've learned to use variables, we've learned to use if statements, compare the variables, create a reaction from the mouse, an interaction with the mouse and the cat. We put together a background and a very lovely game. The only other next steps you can do is, if you were signed into your account, you could share it and you can type a message like, oh, we learned this with this instructor, or, oh, check out my game, this is how you play, and give credit to whoever deserves the credit. And yeah, this is the end of our game. Thank you so much for joining us, and we see you next Sunday.